That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. And Jim, we have finally reached that point. We've been talking around this now for about a month, I guess. And today, officially, just actually earlier this afternoon, Pablo Rodriguez told his caucus he is done. So let's start with your reaction to that.
Well, it's like an opera that goes on for too long, though, because instead of just saying, okay, ripping off the Band-Aid, holding a press conference saying, listen, blah, 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 whatever reason, and then just closing the door. No, we're going to have a press conference tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock because God knows this story hasn't lasted long enough. We've also seen some, there are more unanswered questions, though, about the people around, orbiting Pablo Rodriguez in this story, as in Mario Arizki, who put out a post on social media today saying, listen, I can't say that much, but what I can tell you is I will not be seeking the leadership of the Liberal Party. And all this stuff, I mean, last I heard, everyone lawyered up. Everyone was suing everyone else. Do all these things hang fire now? Has it all become moot? I'm not entirely sure. And in the middle of all that, the embattled Liberal Party, that quite frankly, despite, a lot of effort on the parts of some people, now when you hear Liberal Party of Quebec and UPAC, it's like, bread and butter. They just go together. We're back in the battle days of 10, 15 years ago. The damage has been done. Great, Mr. Rodriguez is gone, and they'll have. But my God, can you imagine, Aaron, if you were running for the leadership of the Quebec Liberal Party, you were going to have to check every single thing you've ever done in your entire life 5 times before you stand up, because now everyone you know, and everyone thinks you know, is going to be under a microscope, and perhaps justifiably so. But the fact of the matter is that is the mountain which the Liberals themselves built, because quite frankly, this issue was allowed to fester for far too long, and now they are going to maybe be able to hide out for a bit during the holidays or whatever. But they've got to get ahead on the story, too. They've got to be able to turn around sooner rather than later and say, listen, this is how we're going to be choosing our new leaders. And by God, please, can we leave the brain trust out of it this time, Aaron? Can we leave the great planners, the deep thinkers who decided it was a good idea to stretch out the leadership campaign for 2 years, who decided, they're always the smartest people in the room. Could you just shut up, okay? Give the leadership vote to the rank and file. Just hold it straight up. Don't make it complicated, and you know what? Make sure that everyone who has got the desire to be the leader, give them a decent amount of time, but don't stretch this out longer than you have to. Because right now, the biggest problem, I think, isn't the evaporation of trust on the part of the Quebec public with the Liberal Party, the provincial Liberal Party. I think it's patience. People are just so tired of hearing about this. They're just rolling their eyes over it. If it wasn't one damn thing, it's another. Is it over? Well, maybe we'll have the press conference tomorrow. Who knows what Mr. Rodriguez is going to say during that press conference? Is this issue in fact over? I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to keep our fingers crossed and hope to get a clear, how can I put it, conclusion, a resolution to all of this madness that's been going on for a month, which seems like it's going on for 6 months, which seems to have been the normal state of affairs for the Quebec Liberal Party. We'll see. But in the meantime, Aaron, we can't deny that the Liberal Party, Quebec Liberal Party, is seriously wounded. It is bleeding, and it's going to need more than some Band-Aid measure or some pat on the head that the party brass usually gives the rank and file to make this better. This is a huge, potentially mortal wound. Even with the departure of Mr. Rodriguez, I think the damage has been done. It's going to be up to some, I think, really clever, dedicated people and motivated to get a move on, get the damage control parties working ASAP, and try and make this a dark, simple, not even a page in the history of the party, like a paragraph in the party's history, and move on.
So, of course, now, and yes, even though we're not going to hear from Pablo Rodriguez until tomorrow morning, I mean, as I said off the top, we know that he has resigned. He told that to his caucus today. So, of course, the next conversation, Jim, is who's going to succeed, who should succeed, who might succeed. And I heard one of our national shows, an analyst suggesting, and I thought, this is a bit of a stretch, but tell me what you think. Stephen Guilbeault, who just quit the Federal Liberal Party right over the deal with Alberta. Yes, he's a Quebecer. Yes, he's been around here for a long time. And when I first heard it, I thought, I don't know. He doesn't strike me as leadership material. What about you?
I would say, I don't know where you heard that, but I've seen it kicking around. And I mean this in the nicest possible way, Aaron. You have got a better chance of being head of the Quebec Liberal Party and Premier of Quebec than any former Trudeau Liberal, okay? The last person on earth anybody in the Quebec Liberal Party want to have anything to do with is anybody who is even de proche, de loin, NDP, whatever, has anything whatsoever to do with Ottawa, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is, the only name I've heard bandied about, and I think it's a very interesting possibility. Of course, you've heard about Charles Milliard and Carl Blackburn, who were the two candidates in the last leadership race. Now I'm hearing the name of Marc Tanguay. Maybe, because remember he was the interim leader, and he was kind of handcuffed as interim leader. He couldn't be a part of the leadership process. Well, guess what? The reset button has been hit. And many of our listeners who perhaps like us, if they spent an unhealthy amount of time following all the ins and outs of Quebec politics, knows that Marc Tanguay did very well in the polls. Marc Tanguay came across to the electorate in a very positive light. All that said, is it too late for Mr. Tanguay? Indeed. Is it too late for Sean Milliard and Carl Blackburn? Who knows? I mean, really, if you're a card-carrying Liberal right now, if you are ready to go over the top and fight an election and win the next election and create a Liberal government, after what you've gone through in this past month, and I've mentioned this to you even before there was any hint of Mr. Rodriguez leaving, how many people just quietly, without making a big deal, just took their membership card and tore it up and said, "The hell with this! I've got better things to do with my time." Can you get those people back? We'll see. But as I say, this is not minor stuff. This is not like, "Oh, don't worry about it. We're very resilient." No, you're not. You're being held together with spit, bubblegum, and hope. And I'm really, really hoping that you have a lot of hope, because I think you're going to need it between even now and January 1st. I think we have not done with the headlines, Aaron. And I think whatever, and now that Mr. Rodriguez is gone, whatever any newsroom had in reserve in terms of their investigations, they will be backing up the dump truck, so to speak, and letting it all flow out by this weekend, because they want to get people while they're still paying attention to the news before Christmas. So this is going to be it. But like I say, tough times ahead for the Liberal Party. Interesting. I don't know if you saw the God love him, Leger ran a poll in the middle of this, actually just on the eve of this, and they found that even though the PQ, which is another story, but we'll pay more attention to that another day, they're dropping. They've dropped another 4 points for Leger. They're down to 35%, but the Liberals are back at square one. They're at 20%. I don't have the breakdown for the Francophone vote, but I'm guessing it pretty well sucks for the Liberals. The CAQ is hanging in space. The Conservative Party of Quebec is up 3 points. It's going to be very, very interesting. But the bottom line here is, maybe if they play it right, Aaron, maybe if they turn around and behave like professionals, behave like grown-ups, stop talking down to people, stop patronizing the public, maybe the Liberals can hit a reset button. Maybe they can put all this behind them if they start talking to the very people they need to get them over the top. And no, it's not backroom boys or veteran politicians or insiders. It's the people who actually give up their time and in some cases their money as genuine contributors to get this party up and running. We'll see if that's going to work, but if it doesn't, you can kiss goodbye to one of the provincial political party that is literally as old as Canada.
As you're saying this, Jim, you brought up Marc Tanguay, and of course he was the face as interim House leader for a while. Yeah. And then I think, wait a sec, have we tarnished everybody? Guilt by association, all those other Liberals who stood by with Pablo Rodriguez when this was all happening, and people go, "Oh yeah, well you were there standing with him, so you supported him." Is that going to be an issue, do you think?
I think it already is an issue, but ironically, not for the provincial Liberals, but the mayor of Montreal, Soraya Martinez-Harada, was being questioned about her showing up at a different event staged by the same businessman who hosted this controversial fundraiser for Pablo Rodriguez, as was Melanie Joly. Yeah. So this is the scary part now, because a lot of people, I hate to say it this way, but a lot of newsrooms got left behind on this story by compared to what La Presse and the Journal are doing. So now they're gonna try and get ahead somehow. So God knows, I think there's going to be a lot of indiscriminate, sniping for the next few days. Maybe it'll calm down. But no, I don't think so. For the caucus as well, I think people understand that when you're a caucus member, you're part of a team, and you can't, at least publicly, break from that. And even now, Aaron, think about it. Think of, the 19 people in that caucus. Not very many of them were turning around saying he's got to go. Some people expressed exasperation, but there was never any mudslinging. So I think people understand how that game works. But the bottom line is, who else? As I say, I think the real challenge is who else is willing to put up with the scrutiny, the microscopic scrutiny, and the Olympian expectations that people are going to have for the next leader of the Quebec Liberal Party.
Jim, I'm going to close with this because I love this little scene today. You talked about federal liberals, right? And that's the last thing we want to have anyone, I guess most people consider, although we'll ask our listeners, as a potential head for a provincial party. So François-Philippe Champagne was asked today because, I mean, he's a high-profile, MP. He's from Quebec. He's got a high position in the government. Listen to this.
Pablo Rodriguez is expected to resign as leader of the Quebec Liberal Party. The Parti Québécois are leading the polls there. Do you have any plans to maybe take over his role and save the country from a referendum?
No.
Well, he certainly thought it over there, Jim, and after much thinking, he said, no, I don't think so.
Well, when you answer that question as well, it's basically, Pablo Rodriguez just got blown to bits in a minefield. Would you like to put on these big boots and go walking through there yourself?
You want to be next? Okay, we'll leave it at that. Jim, thank you.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.